Mr. Duke, thank you very much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me about this movie, Dark Girls, a new movie you've been working on.
Dark Girls is a documentary. It's 74 minutes, I think, altogether. And it deals with colorism within our own community, or in our own communities globally. And it deals with the preference in our communities of light skin over darker skin. And we examine the issue from an historical, global, psychological, quantum physics, psychiatric point and healing point of view.
Rise, Dark Girls. I can remember being in the bathtub asking my mom to put bleach in the water so that my skin would be lighter and so that I could escape the feelings that I had about not being as beautiful, as acceptable, as lovable.
If we're all just hanging around and a dark-skinned girl will pass by, they'll be, oh, well, she's pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And I'm like, well, what is that supposed to mean?
I used to wish that I can wake up one day lighter or wash my face and think that it will change. I thought it was dirt and I tried to clean it off, but it wouldn't come off.
This is a very strong conversation that you're starting, very powerful conversation. Some say it's a little bit long overdue. Why has it taken this long for some of these things, very important, pertinent issues to be brought to light?
I think for many cultures, the most painful issues of the culture are not easy to talk about, so we keep them in. And as a result, things don't change. Media has an opportunity to create dialogue. And in creating dialogue, sometimes there's healing. That's what our hope is. We're not psychiatrists or anything, but we are filmmakers, and we hope that the dialogue that starts allows people to speak about things they haven't spoken about previously.
Media, the role of the media in this whole process. There's some who say that media has been part of the process of creating the stereotype of putting the lighter individual on the airwaves more than the darker person. Do you see the media itself also needing to start changing the way it views the dark and light dynamic among African American society?
Well, there are several layers to that. Yes, media does impact this issue in very powerful ways. Let me start with saying that I think people that are in charge of media feel more comfortable with beauty standards that are related to themselves. And so the lighter you are and the more your hair is like the person in charge of media, there's a level of comfort there in terms of beauty standards that a person of my complexion, and with all due respect, your complexion, does not make people feel the same level of comfort. And then there is the level of what I call commission and omission. Commission is when I say, through an image I present, that you are either stupid or comical or buffoonery or bad or negative or whatever it is, by something I write for a film or a television show or a magazine or animation or whatever, and it says that I think this of you, and it's not positive. That's the sin of actually I'm committing to a statement or a belief system. The sin of omission is equally as, how can I say, painful and insidious, in the sense that instead of committing to the statement, whenever there's something holistic, whenever there's a whole family, whenever there's a hero, whenever there's something positive, you're not there. You see, you don't exist in that realm of reality. So I think media has a responsibility to begin to correct some of these issues. I don't know if it ever will. I think in a small way it tries from time to time. But fundamentally, I think that media really impacts our children, whether it's through games or TV, cell phone apps, whether it's through television, film, books, animation, makes no difference. The way children see themselves at an early age impacts them forever.
Now, the root of this Eurocentric view of beauty, is very much rooted in some racial. It has racial overtones, if not undertones. How come black people, and when did black people start being part of the people that perpetuate the same racism against themselves?
Well, enslaved.
Was that even called racism when it's within the same group of people?
Well, there are a lot of people in our community that feel that black people can't be racist because we're black and we're not empowered. I think that's a lot of garbage. You can treat somebody in a disrespectful way because you're black doesn't mean that the pain is any less. And so if you go back to slavery, there were the house Negroes and the field Negroes. The house Negroes were the people who, the women were raped by Massa, and they looked more like Massa, and therefore they were his children. There was an understanding in the household that they would come in the house, and they would serve the house and cook and the rest of it, and they would be in charge of the field Negroes sometimes, who were darker, etc. I think that quantum physics level of energy, that historical dynamic has been carried on through history, throughout history, to us today. There is some understanding, and that lighter is brighter, smarter, prettier. If you have there are clubs in Harlem called the Snow and Blow Club.
The Snow and Blow Club.
Snow and Blow. If your skin was almost as white as snow, and your hair blew in the wind, you could get in the club.
If you're a black person.
If you're a black person. Now, you and I couldn't get in that club.
Absolutely not.
I don't have no hair. But I don't think your hair blows in the wind, right?
No, no.
So I don't think...
I have a nappy hair.
That's not going to work. So we couldn't get in. There was the brown paper bag test. If it's paper bag be held to your face, if your face was darker than a paper bag, you're not getting in that club. So we inherit these values of beauty, these systems of self-degradation through historical kinds of impacts. And this is not a domestic phenomenon. This is global. Skin bleach cream is a multi-billion-dollar business globally. So this is not just black. This is in India, China, Korea, parts of Japan. I mean, this is a global phenomenon.
Just doing something small as standing in front of the class to do show and tell. I wouldn't look up. I wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. I would hold my toy really tight because I knew my toy loved me, even if they didn't.
Here comes Blackie. Here comes Tar Baby. I remember one in particular, they used to say, "You stayed in the oven too long." And that was really hurtful.
They would do it every single day without let up. On the playground, in the classroom, in the cafeteria, just constantly, you got it. So I didn't really have a high self-esteem.
It was so damaging. It made us feel like we weren't wanted, that we were less than.
My mother and her friend, we were driving somewhere, and she's bragging on me. She said, "My daughter is beautiful. She's got great eyelashes, she's got the cheekbones, she's got great lips." And then she's going on and she adds, could you imagine if she had any lightness in her skin at all? She'd be gorgeous. And just that last little part, just all that pride that I had about her, having her brag on me, just dissipated. Just dissipated. And I think that moment is when I really became aware.
Wow. What do you hope people take from this movie, from Dark Girl?
Well, that's a very good question. As I said before, we're filmmakers. My partner, producing partner, directing partner, Chan Berry, and Urban Winter, his production company and mine, hope that this film creates dialogue. I think what really kills you is if there's pain or some self-destructive behavior and you never talk about it. It just perpetuates itself. But at least if there's a dialogue, we're not saying everybody has to agree, but if you talk about it, it's the beginning of healing.
Absolutely.
And that's what we hope that this film does. And we have, I have more films coming after this, which are, the next one is called The Yellow Brick Road, or Yellow Gals, which deals with light-skinned women, what they go through. The assumption is they have it easy. This is not true. In a lot of ways, they have it as equally hard as dark-skinned women do. And the film after that, we're filming at the same time right now, is called What is a Man? And What is a Man deals with the distinction between being a male and a man. What are those specific distinctions? And we examine it from various points of view.
Deeply sociological issues.
Oh,
here.
anthropological, sociological, historical, quantum physics, all those points of view. We're filming that now. And the last film we're filming is What is a Woman? What is the difference between being female and being a woman? There are historical, anthropological, sociological implications of that unfortunately I think we've lost to a certain extent. And it's been homogenized into these one kind of categorical systems that the distinctions no longer matter. If you go to YouTube, very disturbing to me, on YouTube, there is, if you look up under 2921, young black man. I think he's from Knoxville, I'm not sure. But anyway, he's 29 years old, 21 children, 11 different women.
Wow.
That's a male. And manhood in the sense of producing children, but
he has achieved manhood in that sense.
In that sense.
But is he a man?
Well, that's our question. Our question becomes, if you have children and don't provide for those children, don't help ensure their security, their safety, their protection, and the women that have born those children, how are you defined in our society? In many parts of our society, you're a man. Historically speaking, you're a male. We want to question those issues.
So scientifically, you're a male. But now, these are very, like we said, very deeply disturbing, sociological issues that have been within our community for a long time. Are there people who will come to you and say, are there people who have come to you and said, Mr. Duke, this is a, secret. Why are you putting it out there?
How they put it is, why are you airing our dirty laundry? And my answer is because it's stinking up the house. It's stinking up our cultural home. It's stinking up the self-worth of our children. And only irresponsible people see their children suffering and do not address the issues that make them suffer. Those are immature, insecure, and irresponsible human beings. I try my best, and my partner Chan Berry tries his best, not to be irresponsible men. We care about something larger than ourselves, our culture, and our families, and our children.
Now, one of the people that appears in this movie is Viola Davis, the actress. Yes. Viola Davis. She recently made news in the headlines. Of course, she was, in the Oscar, nominated for an Oscar. But when she attended the Oscar, she did not have her wig on. She had her natural hair. What did that tell you?
She's beautiful. She's standing up for herself. She's standing up for more than herself. She's standing up for, as Miss Obama, it's to see black women now begin to take their place is extremely encouraging. Many black women are still trying to be something other than their natural selves. They've been taught that the way God made you, He made a mistake. So therefore, you have to become this taught image that is not you to be accepted. But now there are courageous women. It goes back to Nina Simone and Cicely Tyson, who were naturals back in the 60s and 70s. And they were called nappy head, ugly face. To see her do that at the Oscars is a statement that is so wonderful to see. I just think it's, imagine all the young girls that see a woman that's nominated for an Oscar stand up and be who she is, rather than someone who she's told she should be. It's powerful.
Right. This was a process for yourself. You did a lot of research. You traveled a lot. What are some of the things that maybe you probably captured in the movie that our audience will see that surprised even yourself?
Oh, that's a great question. I can tell you a couple of things. degree of pain we weren't prepared for, the level of the pain. And at such a young age, you'll see a 6-year-old child pointing to posters, and when they ask her which is the pretty doll, it's never her, it's a white doll. And they ask her what the ugly doll is, it's her, it looks like her little dark finger.
Show me the smart child. And why is she the smart child?
Because she is white.
Okay. Show me the dumb child. And why is she the dumb child?
Because she plays.
Well, show me the ugly child. And why is she the ugly child?
Because she plays.
Show me the good-looking child. And why is she the good-looking child?
Because she likes skating.
What surprised us is our own self-evolution as two dark-skinned black men. You know, when you do real research, it's a danger because you don't know you're researching yourself also. You start off researching others.
Absolutely.
And then as you do research, you are involved in that process. And then self-analysis occurs. And not all of the conclusions of that self-analysis are pretty. It made us really understand, how do we come to our aesthetic conclusions in terms of what makes a woman beautiful? I mean, what do we prefer and how we prefer it in our lives, and why? Right. That was one of the most significant evolutions for me, or revelations for me, in terms of me as a human being, and also for Chan, because it made us both say, we're also products of something.
Absolutely. So there's a natural inclination to gravitate towards a certain hue, even for men. But let me ask you
because we're taught, we're from a very early age.
It's kind of embedded in you at a very
from your father and mother.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right. It's not like you see a certain hue and then you respond to it either positively or negatively. It's something that was, kind of, it's in you, that comes with you from what you learn from, the process of when you're growing up. Have you had any audience responses that have surprised you yourself? Like people who have watched this movie? What do people tell you when they come to you after watching the movie?
Some of the most powerful things are women saying, "Thank you for giving us a voice. We had no voice with this, and we were embarrassed to talk about it. We've been in pain for many years. Thank you for giving us a voice to discuss it." Other people say to us, "Is it really necessary to discuss this any longer? Aren't we past that in this post-racist era?" Some black folks actually believe that. And we control our tempers when they say that. There's something that happened. I'll tell you something that's not, we didn't get on, we got on camera, but was probably one of the most painful interviews we had, if not the most painful one. But the sound was not right, and we lost some of the footage. A dark-skinned woman from Poughkeepsie, New York, where I'm born, we're interviewing her, and we ask her, what is the most painful thing about this entire thing in terms of you and what you've gone through? And she said, she's like in her, I think, early 40s, late 30s, and she said, well, that's easy. Until the last 10 years or so, I had very low self-esteem. And so when I went out with a man, or when I had a boyfriend, I go to his apartment, or he'd come to mine. And if we went out in public, which was seldom, I would drive him and kind of act as an assistant. But I have never ridden in the passenger seat of a man's car.
Saying that, if I had a little girl, I didn't want her to be dark. I remember saying that. I didn't want her to be dark like me.
When you're around so many people that you trust, you know, simply because you're looking at another black person, you're thinking, oh, they're black, I'm black. You know, they're not going to have anything derogatory to say about me. But when you live so many years with people having certain judgments relative to your skin tone, you start to believe it.
A friend of mine had recently had a baby. And so, you know, it was my first time seeing a baby, and the baby was beautiful. And she said, "Girl, I'm so glad she didn't come out dark." And when she said it, it felt like a dagger, like someone took a dagger and stuck it in my heart, because I was used to expecting hearing things like that from other races. But this was someone that I considered to be my sister.
Skin color amongst the black community is a huge issue in our time.
This is not a phenomenon. It's just the reality in the black culture.
I believe we didn't like ourselves. I'm sure it started with slavery, but I think we kept the vicious cycle going.
I mean, you know, dark-skinned women, I don't really like dark-skinned women. Like, they look funny beside me. So, you know, I'd rather not date a dark-skinned woman.
You rather light-skinned girl?
Yeah, light-skinned pretty girl, long hair, don't care.
Wow.
That took our breath away, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the end of it all, how do you define a dark girl? Who is a dark girl? I mean, we have very different color complexions as, you know, black people, you know, people of color. How do you define a dark girl?
I think all women are dark girls in this sense. God does not make mistakes in terms of color, etc. And when you are told that how you've been born is not good enough, and you must meet some anorexic standard of something that is manufactured by someone for profit, then you're going to be a dark girl until you realize that whatever they told you was a lie. For example, while the irony is this, while black women are getting their skin bleached and getting their hair straightened and extensions and all that, right? White women are going to tanning salons, risking skin cancer, getting butt lifts, Botox lips, and crinkling their hair to look more ethnic. Does that tell you something? The irony of ironies of it.
Of nature, I guess.
And the irony of the fact that you're being told that you're not good enough and you're buying into it. How you are born is fine, period.
Did you do any research on how this affects communities outside the African American community, say in Africa, say communities like in India?
We did research. We had in the film we have Cuban, Dominican Republic, Korea. We have Africa and different nations where the women are told, literally, I'm quoting, "Don't stay in the sun too long."
Why?
Because your skin will get too dark and you'll shame the race. Don't bring any dark-skinned boys into the house. Marry light. They're saying this on camera. This is from the Dominican Republic. This is from Cuba. This is from Africa. This is from different parts of the world. This is not a domestic phenomenon. Skin bleach cream is a multi-billion-dollar business.
Places that I've gone that there are just a lot of whites, and they would tell me, "You have such beautiful skin. Is that your hair? Did you dye? Is that your natural color?" And you know, it's really questionable to me. Why is it that they think that I'm so beautiful and my own people don't see any beauty in me at all?
I was once on CNN
debating the whole controversy about Beyonce's L'Oreal ad when, you know, a picture of her just in motion was placed against a picture of her in print. You know, everybody said, oh, there's no way that they didn't lighten her skin. And, you know, I just don't want to believe that that is still happening this day and age.
You got that good hair, too.
You like what?
I like girls with that light complexion look.
Oh, man. You're a moron.
I can't help it.
What, being a moron?
Yeah, that too.
This is something, in India, men get their skin bleached because if your skin is darker, it means you work in a field. If your skin is pale, it means you work in an office.
Wow.
So women are more attracted to the lighter skinned men because it means that they are more educated, apparently, or whatever it is. Is there something a little interesting about that?
But this is not limited just to people who are educated, or people who are not educated. Even people who have gone to school, have degrees and understanding.
No,
you would think that
nothing to do with intellect. This is not an issue of intellect. This is an issue of how can I say self-esteem and self-worth, which is hooked to emotions that are deeply seated from an historical anthropological inheritance. The issue is it's never questioned. And that's what we try to use media to do, to question the assumption, to question the unspoken and assumed assumption. Without questioning it, nothing ever changes. And when you see children suffer, I was at the Lynx here, and a dark-complected woman, this is like 2 months ago, and the Lynx are supporting our film. And she said, thank you so much for making this film, because my daughter came home from school 2 weeks ago and said, Mommy, can I get lighter? And she said, why? I said, because they're calling me Blackie and Tar Baby and Ape Face on the playground, the black children. This is not 50 years ago. This is 2 months ago.
Wow. And finally, does it make any difference? Or are we on, say, a progressive path? Do you see any type of change or evolution in how we view race, given that we have an African-American president in power, but also we have a quote-unquote dark girl in the White House in the names of Michelle Obama, the First Lady?
I think Mrs. Obama being there, and being the First Lady, is encouraging to every woman, but every black woman particularly, in terms of what the potential could be, and that their skin color and how they were born naturally is celebrated globally, because she's a beautiful woman, not only in terms of physiologically, but her intellect and spirit, and her husband and her children and that family is something for the first time I have ever seen celebrated in a global way. I think it's of major significance, and what she stands for, and helping children, and the whole thing she's doing with in terms of eating correctly and self-regard for your body and these kinds of things. I think these are missions that are extremely important, and I think she should be celebrated for them. And I think that I see a lot of black female friends of mine now that used to wear, dresses down or cover their, now they have, this part uncovered. It's like the Michelle Obama look,
yes.
exposing their upper
The
arms,
bicep,
and
yes.
that they're fit. There's something wonderful about that. And I just celebrate it. I really celebrate it.
Mr. Bill Duke, thank you very much.
God bless you, and thank you for having me.
Several years ago, I had decided I wanted to wear a fro. I remember one young lady said to me that if she had her hair look like that, she would have to cover it. And I said to her, well, you take up the perm out of your hair, that's exactly what it looks like.
And she said she has never seen her natural hair because from she was small, her mom has always had her put something in it.